Yeah.
You got an empty chair there. For the Holy Spirit. For their leg. Well, it's so funny. I just feel like someone's waving at me. Look at my point of view. I don't know if he's telling me to be quiet or to be not talk so much. I am honored to be here with all of you. Can you hear me in the back? Up higher?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. I am very, very honored to be here. And when I met with some of the folks that are on the planning committee to find out exactly what Agape Latte is all about, I am really happy to be here. Thank you for coming. And today, in the Augustinian liturgical calendar, we just so happen to celebrate the feast of a saint who we know nothing about until he said no. We know nothing about him until he said no. And the topic is when no's turn into a yes, dealing with disappointments in life. The saint that we knew nothing about until he said no was an Augustinian priest, a simple Augustinian priest that we knew nothing about until he said no. And he said no to Henry VIII. If you know from history, Henry VIII was the King of England who wanted a male heir, wasn't getting one, blames his wife. We laugh now because we know it's the sex is determined by the male, not the female, so we laugh, ha ha, Henry VIII. But they didn't know that back then, and he wanted a divorce so he could marry another woman so he could get a male. Well, the bishop and everyone said no. He went all the way to the Pope, because England was a completely Catholic country. And when you're king, the one word, or queen, you don't like to hear is no. He was told no, and was eventually saying, well, that's it. I'm going to become the head of the church in England, then I'll get my divorce. And he did. And to this day, Queen Elizabeth and the head of the church in England is the king and queen. Henry VIII got his way, and everyone had to sign an act of supremacy, I think it is. Is it supremacy? And they came to the Augustinian house. Everyone signed it. They came to Father John Stone, and he said, no, I can't do it. And I'm sure his Augustinian brother said, John, just sign it. This guy's a nutcase. This will all blow over. Just sign it like we did. We don't believe that he's the head of the church. The Pope is. He said, no, I can't do it. He wasn't putting anyone else down. He said, I can't do it. Thrown in jail. The Tower of London was there for about a year. I'm sure every day Augustinians came and said, John, just sign it. He said, I can't. Eventually, they were giving him one last shot. He said no. And he was eviscerated, drawn, quartered, boiled, and his head chopped off. All because he said no. Head put on the gate by the Tower of London, saying, if you say no, you will be next up there. People without faith stop right there, and that no stays a no. But I'm here to tell you that no became a big yes, because he said yes to Jesus. You can kill my body, but you're not going to kill me. And here today we are celebrating, so how many hundreds of years later, the other side of the pond, as they say, and remembering him. Today's Agape Latte just happens to be his feast day, which I think is no coincidence. We didn't know anything about John Stone until he said no, and his no turned into a yes. I want to share with you some of my story. Let's be honest. How many of us, when we were little kids, thought of the day we might get married to our boyfriend or girlfriend. Be honest, raise your hand if you've ever dreamed about that when you were a little kid. Some of you raise your hand, you never thought of it? I thought everyone thought of it. I never got married, and I thought of it. So, you think of that day as being one of the happiest days of your life. And I can honestly remember my sister, who's 3 years older than me, after she'd make me watch scary movies, and I'd get all scared. She'd always say, think of your wedding day. Was that not supposed to make me scared, or what? So, but when we think of that, we're happy. We're excited. How many of you have ever thought of the day you graduate from Villanova? Does that bring you happiness? No, not for the seniors who are saying, well, we wish this was a 5-year program. Then we're doing our job correctly here. If you don't want to leave, we're doing our job correctly. But you have to leave. But think of any other happy moment in your life. Maybe you're seeing someone. Maybe you're dating someone. Maybe there's someone you want to date. Maybe there's some dream you have of what you want to do. And you think of those moments when you're in Valley and you're trying to study and you're daydreaming about whatever that is. Those are all happy moments, aren't they? Well, as an Augustinian, I had those happy moments. And I thought of the day that I was going to take my final solemn vows. I thought of the day I'm going to be ordained a priest. And I was looking at vestments, I was looking at chalices. What do you do when you're going to become a priest? And I was really happy. And I was really excited. I've always struggled since about 7th grade with my weight. I've always struggled with it. Now, that struggle, I'm lucky because I've seen some kids get really picked on for different things. And I don't think I got picked on a lot because I'm very sad to say I learned how to take care of myself with a very sarcastic tongue. Sharper than any knife. And what I would do is I would go after you before you came after me. And I was usually better. And they're saying, whoa. I'm not, okay, fine. So I never had those problems. But I struggled. And it became an issue as I went through formation. And the priest in charge said, you know, Tom, maybe you need to look at why you're struggling with your weight. And I actually went to a program. And I went to counseling. And I have a PhD in losing weight. You name the program, I've done it. And I think I've lost myself 3 times. What I mean by that, that's how much I weigh, I've lost it 3 times. I have a PhD in how to lose weight. I know it all. I know what you should do and what you shouldn't do, because I've done it all. So I went through a program when I was studying graduate school theology in Chicago. And I lost about 80 pounds. I was feeling good. But then I put it all back on, plus more. So then I went through it again. And I lost it again. And then I was sent away on a pastoral year. It's kind of like a year-long internship or studying abroad, kind of, trying to give you, where you step out of school and you live in a regular Augustinian community, not with all your peers. And it's kind of the test, is this what you want to do? So I asked, because part of my training with this counseling program, and I told you I have a PhD in this, is someone like me had to deal with his body image. I never wore clothes that were tucked in. I went to Omar the tent maker, okay? I always wore clothes that just covered everything. That's what I did. But going through this program, I learned that it was okay. It was okay to not have the body that, Hollywood says you're supposed to have. I'm never going to have that body. And so I had to deal with my body image. And I had to deal with who I was as a person, as a man, and as a minister going through this life. And this program helped me so much to learn that people aren't going to look at me, my body. They're going to look at my heart, if I let them. But a problem I was doing, remember I told you that sarcastic tongue? This is what I was doing. How can you get close to someone when you're like this all the time? This program helped me go like this and eventually put my hand down. It was scary, but I did it. I then was being sent on my pastoral year. And so I asked the priest in charge, I said, I don't want to go anywhere where I know anyone. Because I wanted to test this out. Because I had started to put weight on again. And so I went to a place outside of Detroit, one of our parishes, St. Clair Montefiore. I knew nobody. There were 4 friars I was living with. I kind of knew 2 of them, kind of. One I heard of, and one, an older guy, I never even heard of. And I'm thrust into this parish. And they told me, you're going to work in the school, the grammar school, basically the 7th and 8th graders. Well, I just said, you know what? I'm going to see if they like Tom McCarthy. I'm going to see if Tom McCarthy can minister to these people, or am I going to hide and am I going to put my hands up again? Don't anyone come near me. So I went into that school, my weight and all. I went into that parish, my weight and all. And it was one of the absolute best years of my life. But you know what my problem is? Every year I've been living, I've been saying this is the absolute best year of my life. I went to Detroit, and I loved it. I was Brother Tom at that time, and for Halloween, with all the kids dressing up, I dressed up because the kids started calling me Bro T. I dressed up as a T-bag. And one of the moms made, she got the material that the little girls have for their veil when they have their first Holy Communion. She made me a tea bag, filled it up with leaves, put a little thing on it, said Augustinian Tea Company, naturally sweet, no sugar added. I was Bro Tea. Well, from that moment on, I was really Bro Tea. And to say that I was happy was like saying this room is crowded. This room is crowded. I was happy. I loved life. I loved what I was doing. Almost to the point where after the end of that year, I almost thought of staying another year. But sometimes in those moments, you got to know you got to go. And seniors, you got to go from here. You don't want to go, and we don't want you to go. But you got to go. You have to go. Where would we be if Peter, James, and John got their wish and the booths were made up on the mountaintop and Jesus stayed there forever? We've never been redeemed if Jesus stayed. We have to go. And I had to go back. So I decided I was going to go back. I was going to take my solemn vows. I said, this is the life I want for life. And taking solemn vows, as Augustinians, you take your vows, you renew them a year at a time. Poverty, chastity, and obedience, you renew them for 1 year. At the end of that year, you either renew them or you walk away, no strings attached. It's like getting married for 1 year. At the end of that year, you decide, I don't know, or yes, okay, let's do it. It's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. So any of you thinking religious life or priesthood, it's a great life. It's a great way of testing it out, a year at a time. So I was ready. I need to take my solemn vows. And remember I told you about how excited I was? Think of how excited you are about different things. I was so excited. So I moved back to Chicago. We go on our province retreat. And I'm so excited. I forgot to tell you, my classmate, Father Bernie Sienna, who's on the board here at Villanova, we met in band camp before our freshman year at St. Rita High School in Chicago. So we've been like this since we were 14. And we dreamed a lot together of taking our solemn vows and what it'd be like to be ordained, all this stuff. Everything that we kind of went through Villanova together, went through everything together. We're on our province retreat. Beautiful, things are going well. The director of formation says, Tom, let's go for a walk after lunch. I said, sure. That's what's job. What do you want to talk about? And he said, I don't know how to say this. But we don't think you're ready for solemn vows. We're not kicking you out. But we don't think you're ready. Have you ever been hit in the gut? Have you ever had someone with a bag of bricks smack you in the head? That was me. I said, why? Well, we've noticed you've put weight on. Therefore, you must have a problem. We're not kicking you out. Well, we don't think you're ready. I was dumbfounded. I haven't had this feeling in a long time. It's coming back to me right now, how I felt. How I felt. Everything I was dreaming for, everything I was hoping for. Bernie and I were going to do all this together. So I was pissed. I was angry. I was so sad. What do? I didn't know what to do. And one of the four priests was a priest that I was pretty close to. So I wanted to see him. I went to him and I laid into him. I said, what the hell is going on? I said, you have no idea the work I did to deal with who I am as a person in the body I'm in. And then the four of you judge me on the thing that I just spent all this time to overcome, and you didn't even talk to me about it? I said, you guys screwed up. I was livid. I think I used some different words than I So this Father Jim was obviously shaken by what I was saying. He says, you need to talk to someone. So he sends me to another Augustinian who is kind of trained in dealing with all kinds of stuff like this. So I go to Father Jim Morgan. And I really didn't know Father Jim. I knew who he was, but I had no real relationship with him. And I went in there and I just spilled my guts. And instead, I was hoping he'd say, oh, you poor thing, how, You know what he said to me? He said something to me that I have told literally, I think, hundreds upon hundreds of people when I've worked with them in situations like this. He said, don't let your anger get in the way of the real issues. Don't let your anger get in the way of real issues, of your real issues. That hit me so hard, and it was like taking a mirror that's filled with fog and just wiping it clean to where now it made sense. I requested a meeting with the four priests. I said, we need to talk. And I went in there and I told my whole story. And I said, fathers, you have all made a judgment based on my body and my body image. And I'm okay with my body now. And I'm just here to say, you made a mistake. I will live by your decision because I really have no choice. They thanked me. They apologized. But then it hit, how do you tell? Bernie and I are like tick and tack, That's stupid. I just made that up. butter and jelly. Plus, it has a horrible reference to someone, so some of you got that. Some of you didn't. Everyone kept asking, why aren't you with Bernie? And everything kept, it was like the scab kept coming off again. Why aren't you and Bernie making your solemn vows together? Bernie made the solemn vows. And Bernie was so good to me during this whole time, as a good friend would be. We were sitting at McDonald's once. He said, I got an idea. I said, yeah, I smelled something burning. What's going on? It's a joke. He always tells me, if you got to explain your jokes, they're not there. He said, why don't you get ordained a deacon when I'm ordained a priest at the same Mass? I said, are you serious? He said, yeah, we'll do this together. It just warmed my heart. So I ended up taking my solemn vows. You know, the day I took my solemn vows on the Feast of St. Monica in 1993 on a Friday. It was the first day of my teaching career. I taught 5 classes at a school, Providence Catholic, there we go. And I didn't know what I was doing that day. All I know is you told me never to smile until Christmas, okay? If you're going to be a high school teacher. And then I took my solemn vows that night. And then November 12th, Bernie and I were ordained together. I was ordained deacon, Bernie was ordained priest. Even to this day, because in 3 years we'll be coming up to our 25th anniversary. And again, I just say now, I say it's great, now we have 2 parties instead of 1. But I'm telling you this because that no turned into a yes. I could have given up. I could have thrown my arms up and say, these priests are stupid, they're dumb, they're incompetent, and I would leave the order and rush off in my own self-righteousness. I thank God I didn't do that. And I thank God that He put people in my lives, like Father Jim, who I was so pissed at, who sent me to the other Father Jim, who said, don't let the anger get in the way of the real issues. And that I handled it in the way I did because of people who helped me. And that huge no in my life became an unbelievable yes. I have been an Augustinian 28 years, I've been a priest 22 years, and there's not been one day I've regretted my decision. Even when I was told no. There's not one day I've regretted my decision. I was president, principal of St. Rita High School in Chicago for 12 years. There were many days I regretted that decision. I said, what am I thinking about? This is sheer madness. But I have never one day, 1 hour, said I had made a bad decision about becoming an Augustinian friar or priest. I absolutely love who I am, what I am, and I love it. And I've never, anything I've been asked to do by the order, I have not liked, I have loved. When I left St. Rita 2 years ago, basically, people, I was on top of my game. They called me the mayor of the South Side. Why would I leave? To go to Villanova? Then they asked me to move into a dorm? I've never lived in a dorm in my life, and I'm going in at 50 years old. I'm here to tell you, and to be a living example to you, please don't let your no stay no. I beg you, don't let your no stay no. Let your no become the yes, whatever the yes is. And you gotta trust, and you gotta believe, and you gotta listen to other people to help you to get from the no to the yes. I'm here and I'm living proof to tell you, not only does it work, and that it's possible, but it's unbelievable. What if I let that no be something and I stormed off, feeling sorry for myself? Every one of us has no's. Every one of us has disappointments. And I hope as I'm saying my story, you're thinking of your story. My story is just to be a springboard for your story. All of us have these moments. All of us have these moments where we say no. Or where no is set for us. How do we say it? How do we turn that no into a yes? How do we deal with the disappointments? And if you haven't dealt with a disappointment yet, you're lucky. But just know it's coming. It's coming. And more are coming. But I'm telling you, friends, if you keep Jesus as the center of your life, if you surround yourself with good people you can trust, good people who will tell you the truth, and that you don't let your anger get in the way of the real issues, and that you're not afraid to deal with what you need to deal with, you are going to have an awesome life. You are going to have an awesome life. I'm standing here before you as a sinner, as someone who does not have it all together, but I'm on the way. And I'm happy to be on the way. And I'm redeemed. And I'm redeemed by Jesus Christ. I know that, I believe that, and I try to live it, and I try to preach it. Every one of us has no's, has disappointments. But I'm begging you to let the yes come through. Because at every no, there's a yes somewhere in there trying to be discovered. We didn't know anything about St. John Stone until he said no. And the no turned into a yes. I dealt a lot with my whole weight issue and all that, and accepting myself. And you know what? I love myself. And I love who I am. Brokenness and all. Redempted and all. I hope you do too. As I look around this room, I see unbelievable, beautiful people, first of all. And I'm looking for any ugly people. I found one yet, unless there's someone way in the back. Everyone passes. So I'm looking at absolutely beautiful people. But you know what's even more than the absolute beauty that's outside? Is that the beauty that's inside. And don't be afraid to show that inner beauty. Don't be afraid to take the risks with the people you love. And that's the beautiful thing about Villanova. We're here for you. That's the Augustinian way. If you're having a problem, an issue, a worry right now, and you're not talking to someone, why not? Why not? We're all here for you. We are all here for you. And we're here for each other. That's what an Augustinian community does. We're there for each other. My Augustinian community was there for me when they said no. And it was the same Augustinian community that pulled me out of the no into the yes. And friends, that's my story. That's a part of my story. And I'm honored to share it with you. And I'm honored you gave me the gift of listening. And I'm going to beg us all to let our no's become yes. And never give up. 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 Turn your no's into yeses. Amen.
So again, just one more time, Father Tom. Thank you very much. So that concludes tonight's Agape Latte. Before we leave, if anyone had any questions, more personally or substantive questions about Father Tom's story, this is a few minutes for us to kind of open the room for anyone who has anything to ask.
I have a question, Father Tom. You talked about realizing that you use sarcasm as a, defense, and then sort of learning that and then starting to try to practice letting that down. I wonder what that was like when you first tried to let that go, and interacting with people in a new way. What that felt like, was it hard?
I was scared to death.
I imagine, yeah.
I was scared to death because it's what I was so comfortable with.
Sure.
And I became good at it. I'm sad to say I became really good at it. I was good. And I can still go into it. I could go around to every one of you, and within the next minute, I can make you cry. I pick on something that I can just get you, And luckily I haven't done it in years, but I mean, it's still there. But it's trying something new. It's like, if you're starting with Lent and you're giving up your Snicker bar that you eat every day at 4 o'clock, those first couple of days are theirs. And God help anyone who's near you at 4 o'clock. But it's learning something new, and it's learning a new one, and it's also realizing that what you're learning new is actually good, and it's okay. And I became happier. And how I did it when I went through that counseling program, I had to bring 3 friends with me. And they told me what it was like when I was sarcastic. And it was like the air was coming out of me. I mean, and these are 3 people I loved and respected. And I said, wow. I said, that's not who I want to be. I don't want to be that person. But they trusted and loved me enough to tell me the truth. So it takes practice. And it's not, I always use the analogy, when you get in the shower in the morning, you just walk in, turn the water on. No, what do? You turn the water on, you're sitting there like this. Stick your foot in there, okay? Then when it gets nice and toasty, then you go in. That's life, and that's when you want to change something. It takes time. And don't be afraid of the waiting.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
When you were told no, how did you know that that wasn't the right answer, that it should be turned into a yes? Like in life, how do we generally just know?
The question is, how did I know that the no was actually not right for me? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Because I had come to accept myself so well. I had come to accept that I am who I am. God loves me. I love myself now. People love me. And I said, no, you made a mistake. This is not right. It'd be different if this whole thing would have been solved if they sat down with me and talked. But it was all based on externals. And where was the human interaction? Which is so un-Augustinian. Where is the sharing of hearts? And to be honest with you, I have nothing against those 4 priests today. And I actually think they learned from it. So I just knew inside, because of the work I had done, said this is not me. Now, if they caught me on something, and I knew that, that'd be different. But I had not 1 ounce of that because I knew who I was and where I was comfortable with where I was. So be honest with yourself.
Any final question? Okay, cool. One last time. Thank you, Father Tom.